Scott Gimple is out. He's done. He's no longer the showrunner of the Walking Dead TV show. He is gone. Fans were so pissed that Carl got killed, they even made petitions to have Scott Gimple removed, which I thought was ridiculous. And he's gone. You got your wish. Scott Gimple, after Season 8, is no longer the showrunner. Season 9, we will get Angela Kang, another writer. Hope I'm saying her name right. Another writer and executive producer that has been with the show since 2011. However, it's not the petitions. It's not the anger. Or it appears it's not, because he's not fired as showrunner. He's been promoted to Chief Content Officer, overseeing all things Walking Dead, from the shows to gaming and more. Now, this is a huge, massive change in mix-up in the whole, world of the Walking Dead. One thing I think is good that they need one overseeing everything, so they don't have mistakes like that one video game they made with Norman Reedus and Daryl and Merle. They were brothers, their origin story. But they need somebody to connect the world together, to keep inconsistencies, and just to keep everything under a nice, neat umbrella. Look at Star Wars. They didn't do that. They had one guy do a setup for story. They brought in another guy to just totally bring up his own thing without any overall direction. And in my opinion, it ruined the franchise. For a lot of people, they're liking it, but for a lot of other fans, it's game over for them. I think The Walking Dead, putting someone like Gimple as a chief content officer, is extremely important, overseeing everything. Now, about the new showrunner, though, here's where the issues reside. Right when I first heard the name of the new showrunner, Angela Kang, I thought of immediately Still. It's probably one of, in my opinion, the worst episodes by far in the world of The Walking Dead. I know a lot of Beth and Daryl fans love that episode. I can't stand it. When I first immediately watched that episode, I thought, okay, they wrote this because they knew it was going to go against. There was some awards show like the Oscars airing the same night, and they know in advance. And I was thinking it's not a coincidence, because if you take Still out of the program, and I've watched season 4 multiple times without rewatching Still, it's completely filler. You don't need anything in Still to progress the story or to stay up to date with what's going on. It won't confuse you if you skip Still. A lot of fans don't like Still, I think. No, you know what? Maybe they do. Maybe I'm in the minority. I don't even know, so I shouldn't say that. However, I was worried immediately. I'm like, oh God, please no. So I decided, let's go over and look at some of the episodes she has written, and then we'll read some of this article. If you want to read the full article, we're going to skim some of the important highlights. Go ahead and check out the link in the description below. Now, Angela Kang wrote Secrets in Season 2. That was with Lori, the pregnancy stuff. Judge, Jury, and Executioner. I did like moments in that as well. Say the Word in Season 3. That's Episode 5. I Ain't a Judas, Season 3, Episode 11. I believe that was the one where Carol was talking Andrea into killing the governor. A lot in there I really didn't like. Season 4, Episode 2, Infected. There was a lot in there I did enjoy. Season 4, Episode 12, Still, not at all. Season 4, Episode 16A, I really enjoyed that. It says co-written with Scott Gimple. And then Season 5, Episode 3, Four Walls and a Roof. Season 5, Episode 8, Coda. Another one I thought was really clunky and really needed a polish to it. Season 5, Episode 15, Try. Season 6, Episode 3, Thank You. There was parts in there I really enjoyed. I think there was a massive screw-up with how they filmed Glenn's death. They just needed a second dumpster because the way they fell, it was embarrassingly ridiculous, But I think that's something they caught after the fact, because they do film things in pieces. So they probably filmed above the dumpster first or last, and then they filmed the stuff happening below. And when they put it together in editing, they were probably like, oh shit, the way they fell was not the way they were on the ground. Anyway, moving on to Season 6, Episode 10 is The Next World, co-written with Corey Reed. Season 6, Episode 13, The Same Boat. That is, I believe, the one with Maggie and Carol in the house. I did think that's pretty much filler. That's a lot of character development for Carol, but there was some stuff I really enjoyed going on with Maggie, and even some of the character development and getting a peek at the Savior group. There was elements I did really enjoy. However, being the split, bottle episode type out of nowhere. When you're watching it week to week, it does feel like one of those filler episodes. You just take a bunch of actors, put them in this little room, and it's cheap and easy to make. All right, next up we got The Cell, Season 7, Episode 3. Season 7, Episode 7, Sing Me a Song. Season 7, Episode 9, Rockin' the Road. There's a lot in there I do enjoy with pieces, but again, there's moments in these stories that I feel need a strong polish. Season 7, Episode 9, we covered. Season 8, Episode 5, The Big Scary You. Here's one thing that worries me here is there is terrible writing in the very beginning of The Big Scary You with Simon talking to, and this is an episode I did enjoy, and it's co-written by Scott Gimple and David Leslie Johnson, I guess, as well as Angela Kang here. But the beginning dialogue, I don't know who's responsible for that. Maybe it was a bad day, but the exposition between Simon and Gregory, oh, I went here and I did this. I think that is a structure issue because they needed to tell us, what they did and how they did it. And if it was structured differently, you could have taken that dialogue out. But that dialogue was pretty amateurish. It kind of feels like they needed to touch base on that. So let's just, jot that down quick and then keep it moving. It needs to be in there. Why repolish it? And it just ended up in the final cut. And it shouldn't have been there. A lot of fans were like, that's unnecessary. I'm still going to stay positive on this mix-up and this change because we're going to know immediately. We'll know within the first episode or two in Season 9 if this is going to work or not. Now, I always get a little worried with a big mix-up. This is a huge deal. This is a massive deal. I kind of want to know how much control Scott Gimple has because what if Angela Kang comes in and she goes, yeah, I want to change it up a bit and do this, and this differently. Or maybe she doesn't like the whispers and she wants to, play around with things like that. Is he able to go, you know what, I don't believe that's a good idea. I feel like he would have the control. What's the point of having that position if you don't have the power to utilize that position to keep everyone in check? If you're supposed to keep the entire franchise on the right track and you don't have the power to actually do so and change it, I kind of feel like that's counterproductive. So I do think there's a lot of good to pull out of this. The good is having one person say, okay, this is working for the video game series, this is working for the books, or this and this and this. So I think that is a huge positive, and I am a fan of Scott Gimple. I know he's getting a lot of heat, especially recently with the Carl decision. That's another decision I am, on one hand, I'm intrigued. Again, the comic side of me is kind of disappointed. That's the best way to put it. Just disappointed. The TV show fan in me is very intrigued to see which direction they go with that and how they remix the upcoming story. A lot of fans are thinking there's no way to remix it. It's not going to be the same, and I just disagree. I think Carl does some really epic shit in the comic, but comic Carl and show Carl is just two completely different beasts. Especially at this point in time. I am real disappointed we don't get the badass Carl because even in the comic, this is the point for All Out War into the New Beginning is the point where we got the badass Carl. That was like the transition from a Carl that a lot of fans kind of felt like, he's a necessary evil, and then he won a lot of fans over, especially in the New Beginning, and I'm a little disappointed we're not getting that. Slick back hair, no eye patch, just looking badass as hell, and having that relationship with Sophia. But Sophia's gone. They brung Enid in, and I kind of felt like she was a Sophia replacement. And now I do feel like she's going to hang around if she has a big following. If not, I can see Enid going, unless they got an idea to remix her in some sort of way to absorb some of Comic Carl's storyline. So some of this article, let's just read real quick so you can touch base with it. The cable network has renewed, this is another big thing, this is why I believe they were waiting to announce officially. They confirmed it months ago when Scott Gimple was doing an interview. They confirmed we're going to get a season 9. A lot of fans were worried about it, and I said on social media, don't worry, it's been, unofficially announced. They do that. They'll mention it in interviews, little small interviews, and then when it comes time for the conventions or some big shakeup, they'll announce it officially so that way it gets the most promotion. Now here is when they decided to announce Season 9 and signed a new showrunner, Scott Gimple, to an overall deal in which he will now serve as Chief Content Officer of the franchise. In this new role, Gimple will oversee The Walking Dead's vast TV universe, including both the flagship and spin-off Fear the Walking Dead, as well as gaming and future brand extensions on a variety of platforms, among other areas. Writer, executive producer Angela Kang, pictured below, has been promoted to executive producer and showrunner, replacing Gimple in the latter role of The Walking Dead. Kang has been with The Walking Dead since 2011, written some 20 episodes of the show, including critically praised Hours, Coda, and Still. I strongly disagree with those. Coda, because there was a shake-up death. And you know what? Coda has some stuff I do like. I think it is the death and how it was resolved. Like, him coming out and all that, I love so much of that. I think it is just the stuff with the hospital people. I felt like that story itself needed a nice polish. Kang will take over as showrunner starting with Season 9, which will premiere late 2018. It goes on to say, Gimple's larger deal comes after he added oversight of spin-off Fear the Walking Dead to his purview, reporting to Gimple, who now oversees the spin-off as part of this bigger role. This is something I was wrong about. I thought they were using Gimple's name as a way to bring fans back to Fear the Walking Dead and say, oh, look at, and I thought the showrunners would run the shit, but it looks like they promoted him to oversee, so now the showrunners are reporting to Gimple. Fear the Walking Dead showrunners are reporting to Gimple about the story and everything going on. I feel like he's going to let them do their thing as long as they don't go too far off the rails. You know what I mean? As long as the quality stays up to date and the story is, and you know what? Honestly, we've talked about them combining shows. If they are going to combine shows, they need something like this in place. This system here, it's almost as if they're working towards what we were talking about combining the shows. Again, I need to put up that really short video just recovering all those and updating it and put that out there for you guys. Maybe tomorrow I'll try to toss that one up. Alright, so you can find the rest of this article down there in the video description. It's from The Hollywood Reporter. I'm going to have to stay as positive as I can through this deal. We don't know how much goes on behind the scenes as far as the writing. We don't really know if a writer wants to write an episode differently, but the showrunner is like, no, you need to do it in this because of this and this and this. And they're kind of forced to write episodes in a way that we don't like. That might even contribute to some of the reasons why we get some stale dialogue, because if you force a writer to write something they're not really interested in, you're going to have a lack of passion, which will seep into the work. So it's difficult to know exactly because we don't know all the details of what goes on behind the scenes and how this beast operates. I am going to stay absolutely positive. I strongly feel that, or I feel strongly that I will know if this change works for me as a fan within the first episode or two, 4 at the absolute most. And this is a little worrisome for me no matter what happens, because the new beginning, what happens in Season 9 after All Out War, is my all-time absolute favorite story arc. It doesn't end as my favorite. It kind of feels like we've focused in a different direction and the Whispers slowly became non-important, and I wanted them to go out in a big bang. Not everything goes out with a big bang. I kind of wanted something massive and epic, and what they did is they tapered down some and they went into a new storyline to keep this spoiler free. But the beginning remains, it remains my all-time favorite, especially the reveals of the bad guys, and I think it has the most potential to rejuvenate this franchise and create a new atmospheric vibe for The Walking Dead going into Season 9. And that's what makes me most nervous. If they go into this with a fresh showrunner and they look at this series and they write it as if it's the first episode, not the 101st, if they write it like that, and it's more than 101, but I'm just saying, it's like 15 episodes. This will be like 116 or some shit like that. If they go into it thinking, let's write this like the first episode, and that's a general, quick way to put it, I think they'll be better for it. Yes, you'll have all the background stuff and the character development, sure, but go into it slow, easy, introduce us to this world, build up the tension, the suspense, the mystery and the intrigue. I think that is the perfect way to kick off season 9. All right, you guys give me your thoughts and opinions. What do you think about this shakeup? Let me know down in that comment box below. This is going to be great because tomorrow we have our Map Weekly live show, so we can discuss some of these changes on that program. All right, come back tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love you guys. Thoughts and opinions in the comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn.